Want to know what will be unfolding in Port Charles over the next 2 weeks? Then you've come to the right place, as we've got General Hospital spoilers for June 26 through July 7. Sam and Carly have an awful lot to work through, while at least one former couple seems to be inching their way back together. Meanwhile, even as Mana gets good news, Dante can't help but be worried about Sonny Spencer, and Trina fans won't want to miss today, as their favorite couple try and carve out a little quality time together. What's got Brooke Lynn so worked up? Laura makes it clear she's totally in Anna's corner, urging the former spy to keep the faith. Here's something we haven't seen nearly enough of lately: Alexis and Diane catching one another up with recent events. The last time they spoke, Alexis admitted she misses practicing law. Might Diane have figured out a way to help her gal pal get back into the game? Nina catches a glimpse of someone familiar. Nina thought she might possibly have a moment or two to breathe easily, but it turns out she was definitely wrong. When Laura sets about laying down the law, is she doing so in her capacity as mayor, or on a more personal level? Ava is not a woman who is easily shaken, but something has both her and Austin rattled. When Trina shares how she's really feeling with Jocelyn, might it have to do with the time Spencer is having to spend with Esmond? Martin may be the attorney, but Lucy is the one acting in his defense. Ava is about to go from rattled to downright panic. Maxie takes Brooke Lynn into her confidence. Lucy realizes she might need an assist and turns to Felicia. As Carly gets still more bad news, Sonny makes an offer. But is it the kind one can't refuse? Being an upstanding guy, Drew makes a promise which we have to assume he has every intention of keeping. Austin hasn't always been the most forthright fellow, but today he's downright unrepentant. Who's issuing Elizabeth an invitation, and is it one she'll decide to accept? We all know Spencer can have a temper, and today someone or something is going to trigger it. Sam and Dante make time for one another and a special date night. Having solved a few crimes in his time, Curtis finally manages to put 2 and 2 together. What will he do with the conclusion that equation brings him to when Zeke tracks down Jordan? Is it for a chat, or perhaps to continue exploring the chemistry they had from the moment they crossed paths? Sasha feels she can open up and be completely honest with Sonny. Something manages to catch Finn completely off guard. Trina applies a bit of pressure where Mom Portia is concerned. Stand back, because the women in Drew's life, current girlfriend Carly and ex-wife Sam, are going to try and clear the air between them. Given their complicated history, things could get interesting. You'd think by now Gladys would be accustomed to things not going her way, and yet today she winds up feeling dismayed by a turn of events. Could this have something to do with the meeting Cody's taking with Scott? Dan's hackles are raised as he begins to get suspicious. Due to the national holiday, General Hospital will be airing an encore episode, better known as a rerun, and a very special episode it is, as Port Charles gathers to say farewell to Epiphany. You can relive the touching hour via our recap, but be sure to have tissues on hand. 2 of the town's most formidable women, Tracy and Diane, are about to get together, but what has caused Tracy to summon the attorney? As Cody finds himself feeling a little bit guilty, Felicia takes it upon herself to do some digging. Might she uncover the very big secret Cody's been keeping? Nana has reason to celebrate when she receives some good news. When Martin is propositioned, will it be by Lady Love Lucy, or could someone else be putting an offer on the table? The Davis women always come together during tough times. Today Molly opens up to Christina about everything going on where her efforts to have a child are concerned. Meanwhile, Curtis and Marshall are having a similar conversation with Molly's life partner. TJ Someone's about to get an earful, and a warning from Brooke Lynn. Who's earned her wrath this time? Could Finn and Elizabeth be inching toward a reunion? Well, all we know is that as Finn is admitting he's got a few regrets, Elizabeth is receiving some encouraging words from gal pal Terry. Want to see someone beat their head against a wall. Watch as someone tries convincing Tracy that she should take no for an answer. When Portia needed to talk about her troubled marriage, Elizabeth was there for her. What will the topic be during their confab today? Across town, Curtis, who will no doubt come up during that conversation, is touching base with Sam. Will Sonny's attempts to reassure Dante prove successful? What has Anna drawing a line in the sand in what can only be called an insistent manner? It may seem a bit odd that on a show like General Hospital full of mob wars, supervillains and murderers, the greatest legal kerfuffle in town right now belongs to Carly and Drew and their insider trading drama, but here we are. And while it may seem pretty innocuous, but Al Capone was brought down by tax evasion, so never underestimate the seriousness of white-collar crime. The question is, do Carly and Drew really deserve to be taken down for this? After all, if we're talking Port Charles, Sonny is the Capone in town and he's virtually untouchable. Drew, on the other hand, just got slapped with 3 years after the judge initially wanted to give him with the max punishment. Whether that's justice or not, it's becoming increasingly clear that if fans had their way, Carly and Drew's biggest threat wouldn't be from Mena, but the viewers. That's something we couldn't help but notice when TMZDD tweeted out a poll asking, "I'm curious, would you have turned in Drew and Carly for insider trading?" And the response, as you can see, wasn't even close. 85% of folks responded were up for turning the duo in a heartbeat. Heck, for a number of people, it seemed downright personal. Dan Wright, FoxyLeo28 replied to the poll, and would take all the credit. "I would have done it," Rosanna's friend agreed. "And then I would have come to the wedding to make a public announcement about the fact that I did it." And they were far from alone. In one sense, it may boil down to the fact that insider trading is a crime of the wealthy, and it's hard to find much sympathy for rich people problems with the average viewer. But there also may be the fact that crime never seems to be punished on General Hospital. I'd turn in half the canvas for their crimes, Rita8386 tweeted with a laugh. On a show where mobsters are heroes, it makes a bit of sense, but too often there never seems to be repercussions for anyone in Port Charles, at least not of the legal variety. Because this SEC thing is certainly going to have consequences for Mena, if no one else. That's the case Joe made for not turning Carly and Drew in. "If I were Nina," she wrote, "no, because I tend to think through my decisions and who they may affect before I make them." But that's the opposite tact that Byenger took. "Yep," they wrote, and double yep if I were Nina. And I'd tell Sonny too. "Time to pick Sonny. You going to keep cleaning up after Carly, or are you choosing us?" And if he chooses the former, I'm taking all my money and going to an island to drown my sorrows in a cabana boy or 3. For those who wouldn't have snitched, the consensus seemed to be that there were no victims in the crime, and it was none of their business anyway. Or, as Ocean_Turtle72 wrote, "I just wouldn't have cared." In the end, though, the damage was done, and all that's really left is the fallout. For some reason, we have our doubts that Carly and Drew will be the ones to truly pay. There's almost always a way out of these quandaries in Port Charles. Still, you never know. We don't blame Jordan Ashford for being confused on General Hospital. She and Curtis finally got divorced. He married another woman, and then he kissed Jordan. And then he went back to his wife. Sure, Jordan slept with Zeke on the rebound, but is she really most sincerely over Curtis? Oh, yeah, 19% cheer. Jordan, Tanisha Harper, isn't just over Curtis, Donald Turner. She is over and done. Do you know how we know? Because she wasn't thinking about Curtis when she was with Zeke, Gavin Houston. She was thinking about the most important person, herself. And we couldn't be happier for her. Jordan is over Curtis. 40% of the audience agrees. For now. Right now, she is furious at Curtis for jerking her around, for kissing her, making it clear he would like to take it further. Then, when she hesitated, went running back to Portia Brooke Care, whom he is, actually married to, and with whom he just found out he shares a daughter. So yeah, Jordan feels like she and Curtis are over for good. But it's not like "till death do we part" means anything in Port Charles, and certainly not to Curtis. He'll be single again sooner rather than later. And then how will Jordan feel? An almost equal 41%, on the other hand, feel the exact opposite. Jordan will never get over Curtis. She married him because she loved him. He divorced her, not the other way around, and she kissed him even after he'd married someone else. This is a guy who will always be in her heart. Even Portia has to know that on some level, and no matter how much Jordan denies it, we know it too.